Okay, hi everyone. This is Willie Miranda, Miranda Real Estate Group, and today I have a very special guest with us, Shannon McCarthy. Hello, Shannon.
Hey, Willie.
So I know we just spent a few minutes just kind of getting our stuff organized here, or at least my stuff on my end, and really excited about having this. So grateful for having you on my call today and doing this podcast. We've had a lot of changes, I know, over the last several weeks, and it's one of those things that the strong survive and we just move forward. And I know you're doing a great job with your team up in Saratoga. So, Shannon, I'll just jump right into it and get into some of these questions and thoughts that I had for our podcast today. But I wanted to talk about just a little bit of background on yourself. You know, I've seen you. We've done a couple deals together. We've had great transactions together. A lot of my agents have always talked very highly of you as well. And also clients, sometimes talking behind the scenes with clients, they're very, very happy with what you do. And it's great to see that. And this whole podcast with Live with the Leaders is really talking to people like yourself, of people that came into the business. I know you've been in the business now since like 2003, and you've done a great job. And I really want to get a little bit of background on you as to how maybe a little bit even before you got into real estate, what you did, where you came from. And then we'll go from there. So where are you from? How did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, so going way back here. So I have been born and raised in Saratoga Springs. Grew up there, was born in Saratoga Hospital, went to Saratoga High. Shortly after I graduated from high school, I moved to Miami to go to college. I had a very, rough childhood in terms of, my upbringing. I, came from a single mom household. We were, with three kids. It was really, it was tough, and it was, it was hard. And, she struggled and worked very hard to, get us what we needed. But, I learned very, at a young age that I really wanted to be successful. I really wanted to, make a lot of money and have a, nice life and all of that. So moved to Miami, went to college, had to pay for it myself. So really struggled down there. Couldn't really, find my way. I didn't have any direction or anyone sort of helping me to sort of figure out, the basics of like, even how to pick classes. I was just struggling. I had to work full time while I was down there too. So, college just didn't go well. Basically, I just ultimately started working more. I was bartending and waitressing, and I was making a ton of money, and I was just hustling really hard. And I was like, okay, I can't live like this forever. This is not a lifestyle that, is, I'm not going to get where I want to be, making drinks. So I figured, all right, let me go home and kind of figure out what I need to do. So I moved home and I, bounced around and, had some retail jobs and, kind of lost, not really sure where I was going to go or what I was going to do. And someone came along and suggested real estate. You should get involved in real estate. So I looked into it and, it's very easy, as you know, to get your real estate license. And
Right.
It was unlimited potential in terms of the money you could make. And to be quite honest, I looked around at some of the people that were successful in the real estate industry, and I was like, hey, if he can do it, if she can do it, I can do it. So, got into real estate, joined a team, and, basically I would, it was one of those situations where I was the minion and, I just hustled. I just raised my hand for every opportunity and every, lead that came into the office and showed up early and answered the phone. Back then it was 2003. There was, this is like pre-iPhones. This is
Right.
like, so all the calls came into the office and I was like, figured out pretty quickly. All right, so if I show up to the office every day and pick up these phone calls, I'm going to get like all these opportunities. And, I just started to build rapport with these people and learn about what they were looking for. And so, fast forward, worked, really hard. The first year I was in real estate, I worked a full-time retail job and I worked full-time real estate. And my sort of like memory of that year was I took one day off. I think it was Christmas, because that was the only day that the, retail store was closed. So I worked, whether it was in real estate or at the retail store, I worked, every single day for 365 days. And my goal was at the end of that year, I would have enough money saved that I would be able to quit my retail job, support myself, and just sell real estate. So that's what I did. And then built my business. And at the end of 5 years, I was doing about 50 deals a year for this team. And I had built my business up, and I said, okay, I'm going to go out on my own, because I wanted to do things differently. I had a different vision for the type of agent that I wanted to be. So then I started my own thing and, did that for a while. I think I did that for 6 or 7 years, and I was a solo agent. I had an assistant. I was hustling. I was selling 60, 70 houses a year. And I was, burning out. I mean, I was literally working myself to be sick. I would work until my body shut down, and I would have to sleep for 12 hours. Like, I was so, and I met my, my current, love of my life, my best friend. And, he was like, Chris was like, listen, you can't live like this. This is not sustainable. You are not, going to be able to continue with this, and you have to figure something out. So, worked with my coach, figured out how I was going to start to assemble my team. And so probably I would say about, 4 years ago, started a team, and, now we're a total of 9 people. I have 2 operations people and 6 agents that I work with. And, we're doing 150 transactions a year as a team. And, now I'm kind of looking to the next thing. So.
Well, that's a hell of a background, Shannon. Looking at just where you came from, I mean, it's funny how our childhood does shape, who we are and who we become. And it's one of those things that it sounded like, you wanted things that you didn't have growing up as a kid, right? So you wanted to not suffer and have to go through some of the things you probably saw your mom go through.
Mm-hmm.
And, you and I share similar stories with that, with just, working hard. I did the same. I paid my way through college and bartended, same thing. I worked at Pizza Hut. I worked at McDonald's. I worked at the gas station pumping gas. I mean, you do what you have to do, right, to get to the goal that you want to have when you're really driven like that. So, no, that's awesome. I mean, you mentioned, coming out of school and being young at an age of, what you said, 22 years old, and being like, what do I want to do? And someone suggested real estate. And, I talk to people all the time coming out of college, right? Even right now, like, you don't know what to do. Like I said, hey, don't worry about it if you don't have it figured out, because most people don't have it figured out. Just because you have some type of education under your belt, or you graduate with a 4-year or 2-year or whatever, doesn't mean that you have it figured out. But you have to pick a lane. And I think that's exactly what you did. Like, you saw real estate can satisfy a lot of different needs and a lot of different wants that you had. And you just went all in. And really, I mean, working 2 different full-time jobs like that, I commend you for still being, so passionate about the business, because most people would have gotten burned out by now and been out. But so great stuff there. And, you have new agents that are coming into the business now, and a lot of them are graduating from college, and they're at a point where, like, real estate, geez, I didn't have to go to college to get my real estate license. Like you said, so easy to get. And here I just spent the last 4 years. How can I go to my parents? How can I tell them, thanks, Mom and Dad, for the 4-year degree at a private school somewhere, but I'm going to be a real estate agent. Maybe you could talk a little about that as to, some of your thoughts with that, because I think people don't, if you treat real estate as a career and you do it the right way with the right foundation, it could be better than a lot of careers that are out there that people think that are, those 9-to-5s, or, the ones that have retirement funds and pension funds that supposedly are better than, say, a real estate career. But what advice would you give to someone coming new into the business that maybe just graduated and wanted to do the same thing that you did? They can't just show up to the office today and answer the phones, because, like you said, the phones are not really ringing at the offices like they used to. But what are some things they can do today to get started in their real estate career?
Well, I mean, I think the main thing that a new agent has to come to the understanding is that the majority of your day needs to be spent looking for business. It's not what you see on TV. It's not, showing beautiful homes and negotiating contracts. Your main job is to look for business. And, I'm a big advocate of teams because I feel like it's a great way to, learn and have a mentor. And, there's going to be leads that are just going to fall off that top producer that's, has all these listings, and there's going to be opportunities. But, the main thing that you have to understand is that the majority of your time is going to be spent working for business. That's it. That's your job.
That is so true. I mean, prospecting is number one, right? We're in the lead generation business, not in the real estate business. We're in the lead generation business for sure. Just like any other entrepreneur that we know that's out there. I mean, whether you're a dentist, an attorney, it doesn't matter. They're always looking for leads. And if once that lead generation piece stops, you're pretty much out of business. And I think that when you go to get your real estate license, they don't teach us how to become successful in real estate, right? It's all contract law and, all the different things with financing and, how to get out of contracts, how to get into contracts and all that stuff. But I think when it really comes down to building a business, Shannon, you hit it right on the head. We have to know how to lead generate. And if you don't know how to lead generate, then you need to be on a team to start that are going to drop leads into your lap that you can go and run. Maybe you take them at a discounted rate, but rightly so. You'll earn the right to get your own leads as time moves on and as you do a great job for others to get repeat and referral business. Right. So time management, I know, is another big piece too. Like you mentioned lead generation, but one of the things that you said, Willie, I was in the office every day. Like you got up every day early and like went to the office. Like that was just the thing you did because you knew by being there, you were engaged, you were focused, you were, dressed, ready to go. I see a lot of agents now because things are so virtual now, right? We don't have those floor time type situation and calls, and a lot of agents say, well, I don't have anything going on today, so I'm just going to stay home and be in my pink sweats or cotton shorts or whatever people wear at home. I know I was sharing with you some of the things through the coronavirus I was wearing, just wearing sweats and having a suit top and jacket on up top so no one knew what was going on. But let's talk about time management. I mean, how important was that to you in the beginning? And maybe start with that, as far as maybe a new agent coming into the business, but kind of based on what you did, what are some things that they should be doing and what would a typical day look like, say, in the beginning of someone's career versus, maybe how your time management is now?
Yeah, I mean, I've evolved a lot on time management over the years. I mean, I've been obviously working on my crafts and working, on getting better every year. So, what works for you depending on what your goals are, right? So what works for you to do 12 deals a year or 24 deals a year? It's not going to work for you if you're going to be doing 100 deals a year, 150 deals a year or more. So I think early on, I knew that I needed to, I treated it like a real job, right? So I showed up, I worked, I spent the time, just really sort of focused. I had 2 jobs, so when I was selling, doing my real estate, I was focused on that. And, I think you have to treat it like a real job. One of my coaches early on said to me, I think one of my early goals was I want to make $100,000 a year. Like, that's really, that's really what I want. And they said, okay, well, let's talk about some jobs where you make $100,000 a year. What do you have to do for that company to make $100,000 a year? You got to show up. You got to be on time. You got to be prepared. You got to do your work. So what makes you think that you're going to make $100,000 a year selling real estate if you don't have those same techniques, right? I mean,
yeah,
so
true.
So it's like, now, I also, have worked on this a lot. And, one of the things that I know now that I really wish I knew when I was in my 20s was the whole concept of a very powerful morning routine. Because if you set yourself up in the morning to have a powerful morning routine, you are so much better equipped to deal with the arrows, the flaming arrows that are thrown at us daily with all the problems that are going on with our deals. And, now I'm dealing with, the agents on my team and all their problems, and my admins need me, and then my clients need me, and then this fire is happening here. And So it's like, all right, so now you have to have a very strong morning routine so that you are equipped to deal with all of that. Because if you're not mentally, you're just not going to be able to handle it. So, now I've sort of shifted and said, okay, the morning routine is really the key to be able to sustain the workload. And if I knew that early on, I think it would have actually helped me a lot because, the mindset that I have today, is totally different from the mindset I had when I was, 22, 23, 24, 25 years old. I mean, I remember going home and just crying, just being so overwhelmed by, getting yelled at from that seller or, somebody left the door unlocked and you're just feeling so overwhelmed by it all. And the morning routine is definitely the key to be able to handle it.
Yeah, so you said the flaming arrow. I totally can actually see that. And it's so true, right? We're just all the stuff that we get that comes at us. And you have all the great intentions of going into work and doing things, but day gets away from you and you have all these different things that are going on. And it's always our fault, right? Like you mentioned about the door being unlocked. We had a couple of those phone calls. But, specifically, I mean, what were some of the action items that you actually did in the morning? Like what would be a morning routine for someone newer now? Like, I know you said you had some advice from your coach and that type of stuff. First thought on that is, what was your goal like your first year as far as was it 12 deals, 20 deals, 25 deals? What was your initial goal coming out?
Yeah, I didn't have a goal. I didn't know anything about goals. I didn't know anything about anything. I had no guidance whatsoever. I was completely, I call it baptism by fire. I had, no real leadership, no real training, nothing. So I took a lot of my experience in my first year in real estate and said, okay, when I don't want to be like that. I want to have a team where, my agents are going to have a different experience. And I have high expectations on my team, so there was no goal. I mean, I was completely lost. I had to figure it out as I went. So
I mean, it makes total sense. I mean, there's a lot of people that come into it blindly like that and they just work. And, because you did that, you were successful, obviously. What did they say? That the top 3% of agents countrywide do 25 deals or more, right? So that shows that 97% that's left, they're doing under 25 deals. So if you're coming out of the gate and like you said, you're doing 25, 50 deals within a short period of time, you were pushing the needle for sure and considered to be, like I said, one of those rock stars.
And that was really not until I was 5 years in. I mean, my first year in the business, I think I sold 3 houses.
Okay.
So
that's good to know. Yeah, that's good to know because a lot of people think they need to sell. I didn't sell 20 houses a year, so I'm a failure. And I'm in 1 year in the business. I'm like, you did 12 deals. That's awesome. Let's go 15. Let's go 20 next year. Let's go 25. But 12 deals is pretty good. So to you, like you said, you did 3 deals your first year. That's awesome.
3 deals. I think maybe I did 7 or 8 the next. And then it just ramped, right? Because then I started to figure it out, and I started to figure out, who I could go to mentor-wise, and then I had a broker manager that was instrumental in getting me going, and I started to kind of align myself with different people to figure it out. I just figured it out. So, and then sort of ramped up so that when I was at the end of 5 years in the business, I was up there to, doing 50 deals a year. And, I had a lot of great opportunities and I just walked through the door. I wasn't maybe ready for it, but I just kept going forward because there was no other option for me. Failure was not an option. I didn't have a fallback. I was, this had to work. So yeah, you make it work, right? That's the thing. And, for me, I every single year is another goal and it never goes away, right? You're always, for me, looking to get better and looking to help more people. And, but yeah, the beginning, it was, I was totally lost.
Well, I'm glad you said that because there's a lot of agents out there, like I said, I think they need to be at a certain, and I tell all new agents when they come on board, this is really a 3-year apprenticeship program. It's going to take you a good 2 or 3 years before you even get a good hang for the business, a good feel for it. But there's a lot of people that are just watching you in the beginning, friends, family, that type of thing. Is that person going to really, take my $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 investment? Well, I'm going to wait to see how they do first. and you have a lot of people that will wait and see what happens with you. But it takes a time to build up that center of influence. It takes time to build up that repeat and referral business. And I really, a good solid 3 years before you're like, okay, I made it, right? I'm getting those up to that 20 deal a year level and so forth, so they can make a good living from it. So let me go back to that time management piece. I don't want to mess that morning, because it is so important what you said, and that's a huge nugget. Having a routine in the morning, and we have what we call a perfect week that we train on, and I've been trained on by coaching myself, just like you have. Tell us what that perfect day looks like, or that perfect morning routine, if you would, from the time you wake up till the time it's like, okay, throw the flame arrows at me.
Yeah, so it really starts with the night before, right? So the night before, I'm really just kind of doing like the brain dump. What are the things that I really need to focus on? What are the most important things that I need to focus on, right? So it starts with the night before, get a good night's rest. I'm even to the point where like I study my sleep cycles. Like that's how, sleep is a very important part of performing at a high level. Any, big CEO or professional athlete or anybody who's really, and I'm going for great. Like I'm going for that number one spot. Like that's what I'm going for. So I'm sort of aligning myself with those types of behaviors that the very, very best of the best are doing. So, night before, good night's sleep, wake up, probably around 5:30 is optimal. Spend about a half an hour, writing out gratitudes, meditation, before the phone starts ringing, before people start calling and texting and demanding you to do things for them. It's really, sitting down and saying, all right, think about what am I grateful for? What, who are the people in my life that are important to me? What are my goals? What are my team's goals? What are the agents on my team looking to do? And how can I help them? How can I support them? My clients, what is the overall, what am I really kind of going after, and why? Why am I doing this, right? So that's kind of key. That's a good like 30 minutes. I usually, drink some water, have some coffee, stay with my dog, really spend time doing that. And then I usually go right into exercise. You and I, we, talk at Orange Theory.
Yeah.
Exercise is so important. Just for mindset, just to get the blood pumping, just to really kind of release the stress of the day and just really kind of get that endorphin rush. Then I go straight into, getting ready, getting dressed, whether I'm home on quarantine or whether I'm going to the office, I'm getting ready. And then, usually I go straight into role play is a big part of our team. I have 6 agents on my team, so I'm kind of the alternate for role play. So I'll usually jump on some role plays, help my agents with some things that they're struggling with and how to better communicate with the sellers to get the point across of what we're trying to help them with and what we're trying to achieve for them and overcome, some objections. So usually go right into that. And then 8 a.m. start, reviewing my day, figuring, I'm usually on 3 to 6 appointments a day, usually listing appointments, buyer consultations. The days are different. Monday's team meetings, Thursday I coach the agents on my team in one-on-ones. Different days of the week have different things, but 9 to 11, 4 to 6 p.m. Those are kind of the prime times to do your lead follow-up calls, your prospecting. Touching base with everyone, and, appointments, negotiating contracts, all of that just kind of, just fills in the rest of the day. Usually try to end the day, with a nice long walk, just to kind of bring things back down. And, sometimes we go into the night, if you're negotiating a contract and you gotta sometimes, jump back into work mode at 7 to 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night sometimes. But that's, that's kind of
that's great.
ideal.
That's awesome. I mean, the night before, big one for sure. And that's part of our perfect week that I've been trained on it myself. And that's so important because your subconscious mind already starts working on it the night before. So you get up and you're ready. You mentioned gratitude and doing those type of things. So important, just the mindset. But the one thing that you said on there is you time block, whether it be 9 to 11 or 4 to 6, 2-hour time block that's just dedicated to lead generation, making all those follow-up calls, making all those connections. And that's where I think that a lot of agents miss the opportunity and they're not as successful as they really can be because they don't have good follow-up skills or they don't treat it as like I tell my agents, treat it like a listing appointment. That 9-11 is like you went on a listing appointment. You're not texting anyone. You're not emailing anyone. You're not chit-chatting with anyone. Like you're on point with that seller, right? Do the same thing with your prospecting and you will be successful. And there's a lot of agents that I know and agents that I coach around the country that do a great job doing that because they time block that. And you hit it right on the head with that 2-hour time block. So, but lead generation, like what do they call on, right? What do I say? What do I call on? Well, you just said role playing important and you do that. And so they already kind of know, and by the time they're on the phone with someone, you would rather them know what they're saying, right off the tip of their tongue versus fumble it in a real live follow-up with a prospect and then lose thousands of dollars because they didn't say the right thing. So tell me about lead generation. I know there's all different ways that we can come up with types, business. And what would be your top 2 or 3 lead generation pillars of where you get the majority of your business now?
Yeah, so now we're very heavy in past client, very heavy in COI. We've always been very passionate about making sure that our buyers and sellers have a great experience as good as we can, right? It's going to be hard and there's going to be challenges with every transaction that are completely out of our control, but we really want to make sure that they have a good experience. So because of that, we have a lot of past client referrals, past clients that come back to us. So that's really high. The other thing that we're doing well with is these lead portal sites. So Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com. So we've spent a lot of time in working how to best practices on working those lead sources and converting those leads. And I would say probably the third for us would be open houses, which obviously, is right now, currently, we can't do them because of COVID, but we really enjoy doing open houses. It's a great way to, meet people and, some days you're going to get nobody and you've got to be okay with that. But you've got to look at it over the course of a year and have a plan. How many open houses are you going to do a month? How are you going to market them? How are you going to follow up? You can't just kind of do it, willy-nilly, but I think you have to have a plan for anything that you do and then be consistent with it. But I would say those are probably our top 3.
Yeah, that's awesome. The one that you said about Zillow and having a process, Realtor.com, like I have so many agents that say, what do I do for business? And then, we say, you have to be online, offline, but online would be just use Zillow as an example. And then they go on it for a month or two and they're like, no, the Zillow leads that, I got, how are you doing with them? Oh, they suck. And I'm like, well, what do you mean they suck? I mean, they're people, they're buyers, right? And when I talk to them, I'll find out that a lot of them don't even have a good follow-up to them, right? Like you have to call those leads right away because they're calling 10 other agents. But you have to also know that if they don't pick up the phone and call you right back, that's very normal. And I say that 80% of sales are made on a 5th to 12th contact. If you're only calling them once, leaving them a message and never calling them back again, shame on you, not the lead itself. So
yeah,
sure
you have to have a strategy, and you have to really work on your skills and, you have to answer that call and you have to build rapport and you have to really, create an opportunity where you are, trying to get a face-to-face appointment with that person. Right. I mean, that should be your main goal when you have a Zillow lead. It's really about getting a face-to-face. And, and all of these best practices, they're all available. I mean, if you just do your research and do your homework and figure out like what are the best agents doing to convert these leads and do that, it will work for you.
Absolutely. All right, last question on here that I thought that would be important, and I see you do a lot of it, is how important is social media to you and your team, and what are you guys doing to attract, and why do you do it, and what type of business are you attracting from it?
Yeah, so social media has really become, one of our main focuses in the last couple of years, obviously. there's a couple facets to it. I think it's really important to consider in terms of promoting your sellers and their properties. So, everyone's eyes are on social media. So obviously that's a great way for you to promote your properties. And, through Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, there's so many different channels that you can use as a tool to help promote your properties. The second thing really is sort of brand building yourself as an agent. So, you and I have talked about this. People are going to work with who they like and trust. So Instagram and Facebook is just a really great way to say to the world, this is who I am. This is what I'm like. You're not going to be everyone's flavor. Some people are not going to like you, and that's okay. But when you put yourself out there on social media, whether it's through videos or tips and tricks or, behind the scenes, what kind of person you're like, your people will find you. And if you're sincere and you're authentic and you're yourself, then those people that are meant to be your people will reach out to you and they will like you. And anybody who doesn't, that's okay. Not everyone is going to like you, and not everyone is going to think that, you're the right person, the right agent for them. But, putting yourself out there, being vulnerable, through videos and sharing with your community what you know as a professional, and giving back is just a great way to build your brand.
Yeah, I agree. And you do a great job on it. So keep doing the great work out there that you do. And I know you do not only stuff for, your clients, but you're also doing stuff, giving back to the community, which is great to see. And I guess last thing, as far as your team, right? And if you take a look, maybe even the next 5 years, what are some goals and where do you see yourself in the next 4 or 5 years with your team and what you're trying to achieve?
Yeah, so, I see ourselves, getting into expansion. I'd really like to, I have a great agent on my team, Ashley Nagy, who lives in Lake George, and I really would like to, work with her and build a team in Lake George. I'd also like to, expand into different markets, take our systems and processes and our checklists and reach other communities. I think it's really important. I have a very talented team of agents that I work with. And I want to make sure that my world is big enough so that we can continue to work together. And, I can help fulfill their goals. And, I learned a while ago that, one of the things that's really important to me is to kind of reach back and help other people who really want to make it in the real estate industry and help them through coaching and leadership to help them achieve their goals. And, I think it's really important for me to give back in that way because it makes you feel good, to help people. I want to have an impact on people's lives. And so, that's really how I look at the future and helping as many people as I can.
That's awesome, Shannon. And I know a lot of people have helped you over the years, and it's a great way for you to be able to give back. And I'm not surprised you saying those things here at the end and what you're looking to do. It's just a development and a natural progression for you moving forward. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know you have a very busy schedule, and I really appreciate you coming on to the podcast. And keep up the good work. We'll talk to you soon, and good luck for the rest of the year.
Thank you so much, Willie. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.